I feel like I'm here for the blinds for the voice, but it's okay, I'm not going to sing, you can all relax. What do you think when you hear the word power? Call it out. Strong. Great. Often we have this strange relationship with power. Power is a good thing to have, and it's not so good when you don't. My definition of power is to have connection through the heart with yourself and with others, and to have purpose or intention. And I call that the invisible reins of connection and intention. This is what power looks like to me. This is my horse Macca. He was my source of power at a time when I felt I didn't have any. He listened to what I had to say in the paddock, and he was my counsellor. He was the mirror to my soul of all the things that I was good for but couldn't see in myself. And he was the greatest teacher I've ever had. He taught me about resilience. For example, the time he rolled while I was on his back. Now that means he rolled while I was on his back, and I had to commando roll myself out of his way. I guess that's a lesson in resilience. Now, you don't have to have a horse in your backyard, although I would highly recommend it. All you need to remember is the invisible reins of connection and intention. And I've put those two things in the power quotient. At the top of the connection line is empathy. At the extreme of the intention line is ego. And just like in the Skyhook song, ego is not a dirty word. If you have a balance of both connection and intention, you actually need to have a balance. Because like real reins, if you have too much reliance on one rein, you're just sort of going around in circles. So you need to have a balance, and that balance is the potential line. And if you are on that potential line, you are on your way to power. Now, I'm taking audience participation to a whole new level today. You may not be aware that you've signed up to attend one of my workshops today, which I didn't mention. So the horses were the inspiration for a program I now run, and where the horses are the teachers. And I did that study as part of my master's degree. So I wanted to bring a horse in, but I wasn't allowed to. You're going to have to use some imagination, and it looks a bit like this. Who wants to join me? I'd like to be there right now, actually. So before we start on our session today, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, open your heart, and imagine a treasure chest. In that treasure chest has everything you could possibly wish for, including to love, to live, and to inspire. It has your name on it, and we are going to call that power. You can you see it? You can open your eyes and keep your hearts open. As we approach the arena, because we're there at the farm, we see Penny here, who possibly should have had a bath before her photo shoot, but she's quite curious about us. Horses are highly attuned to their environment, and we form part of that environment. We send out messages that are invisible yet detectable, and the horses are like a giant receiver, amplifier, and transmitter. That means those invisible signals that we're not aware of are being received by the horses, made bigger, and if we're watching well enough, they're being sent back to us. On our program today, we're going to meet, and we can make those messages bigger. I didn't mention that. We can make those messages good ones by applying gratitude and curiosity and connecting through our heart. Now that makes a good place for us and for others to be in. It attracts more to us, it makes us more attractive and increases our attractiveness. Now I've been thinking perhaps I should do a dating program as my next thing. We're going to meet Bree. Bree is a young lawyer who's joined us today, and I've introduced her to Ellie. My horse Ellie is the sort of horse who would prefer to do, well, nothing, really. That is her preferred thing to do, absolutely nothing. Have you ever worked with anyone like that? And what they need to do, Bree is to be the leader, and they need to get to power together. Now, as you can see, there are no ropes and there are no halters. All Bree can rely upon is her invisible reins. And as I describe this exercise to her, and I'm not sure how you're feeling about it right now, but she just sort of shrinks and says, how am I going to do that? What an excellent question. How can you get to power if the only tools you have is you? If you turn it into a battle of strength, you will lose. But what if it isn't a battle or a push? What if it's more like a dance where you move together? Can you dance with a horse? It's my proposition that you can. Bree gingerly approaches Ellie, and Ellie leans into Bree, pushing her into the fence. And Bree, how comfortable are you right now? Do you think you could ask Ellie to move off you? And Bree replies, I don't ask anybody to do anything for me at work. I'm always doing what everybody else is asking me. Then how can she ask a 500 kilogram animal, probably 10 times her weight, move? If you don't see yourself as a leader, why would anybody else, including the horses? What if we could change the way Bree sees herself? In one of my favourite TED Talks, Amy Cuddy says we can do exactly that we can change the way we see ourselves. Now, because this is an interactive program, I'm going to ask you to stand. The first part is I want you to feel like Bree in a position where you feel you can't ask for anything, and just sort of, lounge into what that might look like if you didn't feel empowered to ask for anything. Then if you've done one of my workshops before, you may be familiar with this stance. It is the Wonder Woman pose. So you put your hands on your hips, everybody, please, hands on hips, feet hip-width apart, shoulders back, a big deep breath, and you smile at the same time. Actually, you can laugh if you feel like it. Good. Oh, those good endorphins happening. So in the research says that by doing this for just 2 minutes can not only make us feel more powerful, we actually become more powerful. Is anybody feeling more powerful than when you started as Bree and now you're Wonder Woman? Yeah, great. Please take your seats. Stay with the power though, but take your seats. So this time Bree re-enters the arena with Ellie, and this time she has some intention. And Ellie knows leadership when she sees it. And it's like magic. The dancing is happening. They are moving together. As Bree turns left, Ellie turns left. As Bree turns right, Ellie turns right. And it is a dance, and it looks a bit like this. I asked Bree why she doesn't do that at work. And she said, before today, no one told me I could. It was as if Ellie had given her some sort of power of self-belief. Where would we have put Bree on the power quotient at the beginning? She had some connection but no intention, and now she is on her way to power. Do you see yourself in that arena? You still with me, still wanting to join me on that day with the horses? It can be confronting and revealing, especially for someone like Mike. Now, I need to apologise. It actually looks like some sort of, distant surveillance shot there, doesn't it? Some sort of crim. As far as I'm aware, he's not a crim, but anyway. So, Mike is the managing director of a major construction company, and he hasn't come to join the program today. He has turned up to check up on you lot, to make sure that you've turned up, because his team, which is you, have got some issues that need to be dealt with. So he sent you along because he's okay, there's nothing wrong with him. But I invite Mike into the arena, and he's quite surprised by that invitation because normally he's the one issuing the instructions. He is the one who has authority, the power of authority and positional power. So it comes as quite a shock to him, but he joined in anyway. And I introduced him to my horse, Jack. And the object of the exercise is the same, to get your team to power. Mike crosses his arms, walks up to Jack and says, "Horse, you are in my way." Now, Jack is the sort of horse who wants to be where you are. If you've made a good space, he's yours, like putty in your hands. Mike hasn't bothered finding out anything about Jack, didn't even introduce himself, didn't bother with finding out what sort of communication styles Jack might like. Horses don't understand our language and we don't understand theirs. What do you think the horse does? It turns its rear end around. I'll leave it to your imagination what that looked like. This is interesting. Is this what happens when Mike goes into the office or onto job sites? Is he not inviting people to take part, just issuing orders? What do you think would be the next steps? How could Mike get anything done? He needs to take that armour off of being important and invite connection. And he needs to ask for help. Now, I get it. If you have always been told that to be in charge means that you need to have all the answers right, but what about all the skills that the whole team has to offer that he's ignoring? He does ask for help. Does anybody want to guess what the help looks like? We did it just before. It's the Wonder Woman pose. Now, you might be thinking this is somewhat embarrassing for a boss in front of his team to be doing this pose, but Mike found it hilarious, as did his whole team. And what that meant was they all got to see and feel a bit more of the real Mike, as did Jack. Mike re-entered the arena, this time to make connection with Jack, and it was a dance. As if by magic, their feet were moving together as in a dance. And it looks like this. Where would we have put Mike on the power quotient at the beginning? High intention, low connection, but now he is on his way to power. Someone from Mike's team called out, "Hey, Mike, why aren't you more like that in the office?" And Mike says, Before today, no one told me I could. It's really that simple. Just laugh, be open. Familiar words, Before today, no one told Bree that with intention she could get somewhere. No one told Mike that with connection he could move a whole workforce. So who told them now? Was it Ellie? Was it Jack? Horses don't talk, and yet they deliver profound messages if we choose to listen. So what's happened since the program? Well, Bree asked for and got a promotion. And Mike, well, I think your team issues have sort of been resolved. If anybody ever suggests to you that no one told you that you could, I'm here to tell you that you can. I invite you to harness your power with your two hands. Take those reins of intention and connection. Join with your heart for connection and intention and create the dance to your power. Thank you.